I'm here with Andrew this morning. Like to try to introduce you is like, reading a novel,
Yeah.
right? Because you do a lot of things. You're a serial entrepreneur, a fitness, guru, a franchisee for Anytime Fitness. And we're talking right now, like we were outside waiting for the studio and you were talking about stress, right? And before we jump into your businesses, I want to talk a little bit about stress because, it's, if you are an entrepreneur or, a small business owner, stress is something that just kind of comes with the party, right? So share with us a little bit your philosophy on stress and why it is just so prevalent right now. It's making people sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely evolved. I mean, we've been in the wellness industry for 15 years and, understanding that stress is stress. Your body doesn't understand whether it's good stress, bad stress.
What is good stress? Can we break
like,
it down
so
a little bit?
I think acute stress where you're consciously choosing to seek discomfort. So one of our businesses, it's a wellness studio, and doesn't matter how many times you've gotten to a cold tub, it's always you got to talk yourself into it. So you're in control of that stress,
But you're choosing it.
you're choosing it.
Yeah.
And it has a ripple effect of, by doing something hard, you become more resilient. And so the idea is, we're never going to avoid stress. It's always going to be part of the human experience. But what we're trying to do is increase capacity, the ability to shoulder stress and stay true to who you are, not let stress completely change who you are. Now you're not showing up as that person. So whether it's, you want to do something to, just improve like athletic performance, or if you like, I have a 1-year-old baby girl. I want to do something.
Is that why you have Girl Dad on your hat?
That's why
Okay,
I'm proudly representing that Girl Dad. But I want to do things that are going to allow me to be around for the next 50 plus years. And so that's proactively channeling stress to make sure that it propels me forward and doesn't, keep pulling me back.
Right. Right. I think that is just so key. And, for entrepreneurs out there who you're assuming a lot of risk, which means you're taking on a lot of stress, which means, you're maybe not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
definitely.
not just entrepreneurs, like just humans in general at this moment in history. Right. So, okay, let's talk about your businesses now.
Yes.
Right. Because they're kind of like built around health, wellness, mental, headspace kinds of things. So you're a franchisee for Anytime Fitness.
Yes.
Right. And we were talking earlier about how, there are some people who really do argue that if you are a franchise owner, you're not a true entrepreneur. And you said you're aware of that argument,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
But then let's talk about that a little bit because you had a really great comeback, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the beautiful thing about a franchise is it allows people that may have never stepped onto the playing field. They always were in the sidelines and they wanted to try to do something. Maybe they were lacking confidence, creativity, and they weren't sure how to start. So, I mean, we definitely did our due diligence in terms of, like, we're not going to just get into any franchise. It really has to resonate with who we are. And
Who's the we?
My brothers and I,
Okay.
my two brothers, we're all 2 years apart. We started this journey, like I said, 15 years ago, back when Anytime Fitness was relatively small. They're coming up on, they've been around for 23 years, and they started with like one location in a tiny town in Minnesota, very ahead of the curve with that 24/7 access. But then, like anything, we have to evolve, and so I think that's the comeback is, whatever's going to get you into the game, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because life is short. If we're always going to wonder what if, you're going to be unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And so we made sure that it was something that, like, it's not compromising our DNA. They were definitely focused on people, and their motto is like people, purpose, passion, play, and trying to be that neighborhood gym versus the big box where it's we want just a lot of members and it's low cost. We're very personalized, individual with like we want to know our members' names. And so that felt real to us. And I mean, also like the stats of like being a one-off business and making it, it's very hard to do it, to make it to like year 1, year 5, let alone, are you going to be around for the next 20 years?
Right. And it's even with franchising, it's, there are a lot of restrictions, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't just go out and buy a Pizza Hut or a 7-Eleven,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or a Subway or an Anytime Fitness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you have to go through the franchise disclosure documents, right?
Yeah.
Like it is a
Yeah.
major process.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you are, when you close on your franchise, you are beholden, right, to a corporate entity who
Yep.
sort of tells you what to do, but they do that
Yep.
so that you will succeed.
Yep.
But it has limitations, and we were talking about that. So how do you iterate and stay relevant when you are within these restrictions
Mm-hmm.
put on by a corporate entity?
Yeah. It's definitely a fine line. I think for us, it all starts with building that relationship and that level of trust. So, knowing the founders of Anytime Fitness, it's 2 guys.
Oh yeah.
Our first Anytime conference, we're in Chicago, where we barely had our gym open for months at that point, and we're shutting the bars down with the 2 founders, and just kind of getting to know them. That's back when I was drinking and staying out late. That was a long time ago, a different version of me, but it allowed us to build that relationship with them on a personal level, to kind of learn a little bit more about what their journey looked like, and share with them, being on the West Coast, like I was mentioning, we're years ahead sometimes of like the Midwest. And so, Minnesota is the home of Anytime Fitness. And so just kind of pushing that envelope a little bit before it's like mainstream and allowed for a franchise. Now their big pillars are training, nutrition, recovery. We started doing group training well over a decade ago. We opened our superfood cafés, which is focused on nutrition, 10 years ago this month. And then the recovery part with space bar, like sauna, cold plunge, that kind of stuff. We've been doing that for 5+ years
And
as a business.
that's not part of Anytime
All separate,
Fitness.
yeah.
It's all okay. So that's sort of the when you were talking about using this platform of a franchise, Anytime Fitness, for you to really like use it as a springboard to get into these other businesses.
Yeah.
But there's a theme, right? Like
It's
you
all
have a
interconnected,
theme.
yeah.
To your like it's wellness.
Yeah, and that's what I would say. Like the big pro of a franchise is it gives you the confidence. So we were really successful early on with the franchise. Our second club, we were awarded.
How many do you have? Sorry, I should have asked that sooner.
At one point, we had 3. And one was in LA, and just LA was a beast during COVID, and
just any time.
Just
right?
exactly like
it's
the
just a beast.
anchor tenant ended up closing like months after we opened. It just became a dead strip mall. So that one we took, like over 15 years. You're going to take, we like to think of them as lessons versus losses, but you're going to learn a lot of things. We took a lot of like hits on the chin, but like the franchise allowed us the confidence to know that we can branch out. It's a lot harder when you branch out. Like food is just, it's a beast.
Yeah.
And Contrast Studios, back when we opened in 2019, you could count on one hand how many in the country. Now it's a real wave of, now there's hundreds, if not more than that, across the country. So like being first has its benefits, but it's also hard. You have to create that path.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to blaze trails for the past 15 years. And like when I like the analogy of when birds are flying in a flock, that one in the point, they rotate because you can't take that headwind for forever. So it's like creating the team to allow us to go further. We want to go deep, not wide. And so it really is like that flock that's flying. We got a next man up type of mentality of who's shouldering a little bit more of this stress, so we can be around for the next 25 years.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that have you found surprise? Let's just focus on Anytime Fitness for now.
Yeah.
Right? Like surprising things with owning a franchise, right? Irritating things, things that, you're like, what is going on here? Like, let's break it down a little bit.
I mean, the big surprise for us was just even though there's a playbook, it's not quite what we thought it was.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, there's guardrails, and you can't. Everything is kind of dictated, from the POS, like the software, the cameras.
Yep.
Everything is a proprietary thing. They kind of, they have a little bit of control of everything you do. So just figuring out, like, as creative people, how do we still be creative within this
confines,
restricted
right? Yeah,
confine.
like it's a corporate,
I mean, it's like, even from we're in the Pacific Northwest. It's rainy. It's wet. Back then they wanted carpet in the gyms, and we're like, we fought them big time. We were like, we need concrete. We need polished concrete. Real. That's the vibe of Seattle.
Right.
So so we, from day one, we kind of pushed.
But they worked with you.
They worked with us,
because you had data points, and we were talking about like the geography and the culture of where you have a franchise is going to have come into consideration at some point.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's always, Anytime Fitness has always been rural, like small town feel. We were one of the first to be in like a very dense market. So Capitol Hill, it's one of the densest pockets in the country. It's almost like that New York vibe where it's a younger demographic. Everybody is walking to the gym. So it was definitely different. And as great founders, they understand that we can't just be a cookie cutter in everything. If we want to attract and stay relevant and get in with the younger generation, the Gen Zers, the millennials, we need to be in those neighborhoods. We can't just be in these small towns and continue to evolve.
Right. Exactly, like Walmart, right? Like Walmart was a very rural play, but it's not sustainable, right? Like you have to evolve and read the room, even when you're in the franchising business. And I just really quickly, so franchises get kind of a bad rap sometimes, right?
Sure.
Because it's like, oh, it's just a franchise. Franchising is a huge impactor in our economy, huge employer of humans, Americans, right? And so, when people come out and, they're boo birds around the whole concept of franchising, it's like you need to take a step back because there's a lot of opportunity to be a business owner. It is a wonderful stepping stone, or like multi-unit, like people just have. In franchising, it's the units that you have, right? The more units you have, the more money you'll make.
Yep.
But what you've done is you've used it to learn business, right? Like a paid education.
Exactly.
You became a businessman. And then you rolled out these other related entities, right? So how did you do that?
Yeah, for us, stepping into a gym, may not be super intimidating, but for the great majority of people, it is. And so, as nutrition coaches ourselves, it almost didn't feel natural to have conversations about food in a place where they're already scared and intimidated. So, this October, or actually next week, will be our 10-year at the cafés. So that they're already coming to a cafe to consume food. So we thought that, okay, this is a little bit more of a natural approach to have conversations.
Right.
And we almost care to a fault more than people. Like we want to make sure that what they're getting is good. So it's a plant-based cafe. So acai bowls, smoothies, and we hand blend everything. No artificial syrups or sweeteners. And again, that's going against the grain. Most people just want that Subway mentality. They just want to go down the conveyor, pick this, this, and this.
But fitness is different than that,
it's
right?
Different.
Like that's all a part of a fulsome, holistic approach to well-being.
Yep.
Right. And like as your demographic, right? When you say like it, just because we're both like working out is just a part of my pattern, right? It's absolute routine it is sacred, right? But it's not that way for everyone, right? There's this psychology, like you talked about, the fear. Are you seeing that kind of reaction more and more with the younger, like the completely online generation? Like, how does that impact your business, and how do you get past that fear?
I think this younger generation anxiety is wild,
right? Because
like
of
stress
social,
and anxiety,
right?
social
like,
anxieties, and almost to the point where it can be crippling and paralyzing them to like. So you definitely have that dichotomy of figuring out how do we just meet them where they're at, and slowly kind of start working on behavior psychology.
Right? Like, how do you meet them where they are?
For us, I think it's just being relatable, and like we do a lot of like just community partnerships, making it very like low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
But across all of our brands is, just figuring out, because a lot of people just want that community feel.
Yeah.
But they don't know it yet.
Right.
So we just need to show them, like we're very like alike. There's maybe 1% in our DNA that's different.
Yeah.
But we always seem to focus on what's different. And so just figuring out how you can, whether it's through social media, whether it's kind of just being vulnerable ourselves and showing people that we too have stress, we too have anxiety, we have fear of rejection, fear of failure.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a stepping stone on trying to get people to feel empowered and share their voice and understand that we're all connected, interconnected, like an oak tree, for example. It's you see it on you see the surface, but you don't see that it's interconnected with all these oak trees.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to be. We're trying to be an oak tree for our community.
Yeah.
And just let people know that if you want to go far, you got to go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. But community is where it's at.
Yeah. What about for people like me? Like, when I go to a gym, like, I just want complete and total anonymity.
Yeah.
Right? I don't
and that's
want
very
to talk
normal.
to you.
It's very normal.
Right? Like, and there are some people I hate for no reason at the gym. Like, right? Like, what is that?
I think, I think that's just, we've been conditioned to be kind of disconnected.
I guess
and
so.
just like doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And so it's, whether you're in, like, I'm a natural introvert. So I have to like stretch to be able to like have conversations in large scales. It's not natural.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong for like people going to the gym and like that's your time to be alone. But again, like we're big on like team training, small
right, and
group,
making people feel comfortable.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like those people who have never done it, who like there is just starting something.
Yeah.
That first step is
it's everything.
Frightening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's hard,
Yep.
and you need people to advocate for you.
And one thing we do within our gym, being very aware of like coming through our door, that's huge. And so we try to align our team with them, just so they know, like, even if you're going to do it on your own, we're going to introduce you to our coaching staff. So that way you have somebody to check in with, whether it's just an accountability check-in, we have resources, whether it's you're very data driven. We have like very like high end scales where it gives you all these like 40 different biomarkers, because if we're just looking at the scale, that doesn't tell you like the whole story. And so we want to see like, how's your right side developing versus your left side? How's your overall like hydration? Like it sounds very simple, but most people are chronically dehydrated.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
We're just trying to start very easy. And like, if I'm going to try to give you all these macros and breakdowns and all these things. Do you have all
like technology? Like, how does the technology play into
it's
fitness right now?
It's huge. Wearables are huge.
Yeah.
We do all of our training based on heart rate. So our members, our trained clients, they have heart rate belts that they wear. So we can see when we need to push, when we need to pull back. So it's like, it's real-time data on the screen. If they don't want it displayed, we can, like if you're very private, we can pull it back, but the coaches, they still have access to what's the heart rate looking like?
Right, like all the biometrics.
Biometrics. Then we do those scans where we're giving them all the data points. Is lean muscle increasing? Because like you might be losing weight, but are you losing muscle?
Right.
Because like we want to make sure that you're hanging on to that. So we can take all these data points and just give them a personalized, holistic plan. Do they need help with nutrition? Do they need help with mindset coaching? And so it's all housed within a very, very user-friendly app.
Yeah.
Even their key to the gym is like it's on their Apple Wallet. They just
That's crazy.
They scan. They have access to their home gym, but then they can go to every Anytime Fitness globally. So I mean, Anytime Fitness is on every continent, Antarctica included. It's
Have you been?
I have not been to that one.
You should go and look for polar bears or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I probably won't go to the gym, but I'll probably try to, do something outside. But it's, I mean, like I said, whether people understand or not, we're all yearning community. Coming out of the pandemic, I think people realized more than ever that, maybe for the first 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I'm built for this. I'm built to be an introvert. But that faded pretty quickly.
Yeah, it did. It did, and some people lost their minds completely.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What are the trends right now in fitness, right? Like for a while, it was all stability balls and Bosu balls and kettlebells, and like, what's the next thing?
I think the next thing is finding a gym that checks the boxes for that holistic wellness. Whether it's you're coming here, you trust your trainer already, they're helping you with making good food choices. If you're looking for recovery, saunas, cold plunges are finding their ways into gyms. Anytime Fitness is now like greenlit, like having saunas inside the studios for the first time. You'll never see like swimming pools in there, but it's can we take care of that whole person?
Yeah.
Or do we need to outsource? We have in-house physical therapy in our gyms. So like rather than referring out to this person, that person,
you're keeping them there.
We're keeping them like it's a captive audience. Like understanding that, because time is the most precious thing. So if we can allow somebody to be very efficient, in a 45-minute workout, now maybe you're going to get a massage after, because that's the thing that we need to like understand is like most people are they freely spend their time, but they hold on to their money.
Yeah.
So it needs to be a little bit of a perspective shift there. Like we need to be a little bit more intentional with our time.
Yeah.
And spend the money accordingly.
Right. Exactly. And it's, like that, it's very hard if you want to get that, the whole, mind, body, wellness, right? Like if you're going to a bunch of different places, right? Like if you work out, then you go to the massage therapist or you go to the chiropractor, right? Like there's all of these steps that you have to take, right? And I think it's really wise, right, with, at time issues, and I didn't know that about Anytime Fitness, right? I didn't know that you guys had, that's new since I've been into one of your gyms. But, so right now for people who are listening, right, and they're liking what they hear about, trends in fitness and, it's not just about weights anymore. It's about an end-to-end process for health, right? How do you encourage someone to take that first step, that just start at the gym? It literally is the hardest part of anything in life, but especially a fitness routine.
I mean, like most consumers, it's all like they always start online. So like we really are aware of that, and we want to make sure that whether you step into the gym or you see us virtually, that you understand that this is truly like a family business. It's a global franchise, but we are a small business. We live in the communities that we serve. So unlike other gyms, like you'll never talk to the owner of that gym. It's like it's a GM or it's this or that. We're people first. So understanding that we truly want to know what your goal is, align ourselves to make sure that we get you there more efficiently. Like I said, you could try to figure it out on your own, but it's going to cost you time. And so we want to be very like, if we had 5 different businesses that you have to go to, like there's 5 different apps, there's like there's always a cost. So we try to make it very simple.
Yeah.
And just come in, check us out, do a vibe check, see if it's something that you see yourselves like thriving in.
Yeah.
And if not, we're okay with that, because it can't be for everyone. Then you end up being for no one. So
yeah,
we just
exactly.
we're just trying to meet people where they're at and show genuine like care.
Yeah.
Like in a data-driven world, we still want to double down on people and understand the connections.
Yep. Yeah, it's so key in any kind of retail or any kind of business, really, right? Like like fitness is so deeply personal, right? It's not a transactional business, right? Like you've got your revenue models, but it's you are at a point of transformation in somebody's life.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That is a lot of responsibility, and you have to take it seriously and respectfully.
Yeah.
And so anyone who's out there interested in starting a franchise, right? Or even just like working out, what are your words of wisdom to aspirational entrepreneurs, aspirational, fitness adopters, right? Like what is from your experience, and you've done a lot of cool things, right? Like drop some wisdom.
I mean, I would say there's 2 different types of business owners. The ones that are getting in for the sole like return, or business owners that are living this lifestyle. And so we fall on that side of the thing, so we're not necessarily, of course, in a capital world we need capital, but we're just living our lifestyle, and it happens to be aligned with business. So the beautiful thing for me is when people ask, if I'm going to retire, the answer is always going to be no. Because I'm just living my life and figuring out how to align it within the construct of like providing for my family. So I think my advice would be figure out, are you A or B on that thing? And if it's B and you want to align that with who you are, then make sure that if it's a franchise that they align also with who you are. So you're not compromising on your core values.
Exactly. As a vegan, I probably would not want to buy a Subway.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It needs to be, but maybe you want to buy a Fit Bar Superfood Cafe.
Right. There's lots of opportunities.
There's opportunities, but and within our franchise, you can be successful either way, but you can see the franchise owners who are in it for business.
Yeah. There's a total difference.
Whether they're physically not healthy,
right.
Like you can tell that they're just overly stressed. So it's just like, there's no right answer, but you got to do a gut check in terms of how you want to show up.
Yeah. On the other side of that, all right, so that's the business side. We've talked a little bit about fitness, and stress. So for, people out there who are stressed, who are entrepreneurs or whatever, just humans in the middle of some shit somewhere. What are the mistakes that people make, right, that is impacting your health outside of stress? Is it alcohol? Because I see alcohol as a real hindrance to progress.
Alcohol is huge. It has, the only positive that alcohol brings is community. Whether people are going to meet somebody at a bar and it's a sense of community.
Can't you find that in a more...
100%. Yeah. Especially like the Gen Zers, like there's different like natural drugs, whether it's, medicinal mushrooms, THC. They can have their drawbacks too, but not to the point of alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol is essentially crippling to the brain
and the whole body, right? Like it destroys your organs, right? I stopped drinking when I started reading about what it does, right? And why I was feeling so bad.
Yeah.
And I stopped for a week and I felt so good. And I'm like, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing to my body?
Yeah.
Right. But I see these young entrepreneurs, and there is a culture of alcohol, in big urban centers and in accelerators and incubators and all of this. And it's like, you don't want to be preachy. Everybody has to find their own way, but it's like for your health and for the health of what you are creating as a business owner, like you need to have introspection.
Yeah.
Right. And really, just because it's culturally acceptable, you don't have to accept it.
Exactly.
Right? You know?
Yeah, we've actually adopted a different way of inducing a sense of euphoria. So we host at our wellness studio every first Friday. We call it flow state. I mean, even just the ability for humans to get into a flow state now is almost lost. Like people don't understand how to do it.
Explain what a flow, like we know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, so it's really just anything that's gonna drive deep thought, deep work, and you almost lose track of time.
Yeah.
And so like time is really a fragment anyways, but just what we try to do is we host these community events, and everybody their ticket includes a euphoric seltzer. And so that seltzer has like the kava root, a little great. Some of them have a little kratom in it, but these are roots that have been around for centuries, and they actually help alleviate muscle tension, soreness, anxiety. So having one of these drinks gives you that euphoria that you had alcohol, allows you to be a little more social, and no side effects. You're feeling better. Yeah. So we've been on that kava journey.
That's really cool.
For a while.
I have not heard of that.
You should check it out. There's some, like anything, finding the brands that are giving you a good dose versus there's some that are just focused on that profit.
Yeah.
And like anything, you can abuse it.
Of course, moderation in everything, even alcohol, right? Like it's just moderation and a consciousness about what you are doing and doing to your body and to the people around you.
Yeah, and just like cultivating the community where we're kind of helping set the guardrails too. Is like, this is a wellness focused thing, so like you're not going to ever see me crushing like a 6-pack of these things, so it's it's we're looking to lead by example, lead from the front.
So important, right? You can't be, do as I say, not as I do, right? Like you have to practice what you preach. So, I'm really, it's a very nice way to start the day talking about health and also franchising. And I wish you so much success in your myriad businesses. Because I think what you're doing, really comes from the heart, and you really are in it to have an impact on people's lives.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks for sitting in the chair this morning.
Yeah, and when you asked about like what's the biggest trend,
we didn't get there.
I would say the biggest trend is longevity right now, but that shouldn't be a trend, right? We should redefine what is longevity, like lifespan. We understand what that is, but health span is the thing that a lot of people are very curious about. What is that? So we want to live as long as we can, but as healthy as we can.
Right, quality,
exactly. So making sure that people understand, in order to be thriving at 80, you need to make sound decisions at 20,
Absolutely.
30, 40. And so all of our businesses are really doubling down on just getting people to like think about that future self mindset. And you don't want to be paralyzed thinking about the future, but if you can be very intentional in the present, you're going to make sound decisions for that future.
What about that crazy guy in Silicon Valley who's trying to live forever? You know his story?
A little bit,
and he spends $2 million a year on, like stem cells and
just all the things.
Yeah, right? I can't remember his name, but he is batshit crazy. And I honestly think he looks unhealthy. Right? Like,
there's extremes to anything. Like there's extremes to anything. I think the key is to make it approachable and sustainable. So we're not all going to have $2 million to spend annually,
right? And it's like
ever.
We're humans, right? Like it's not forever,
exactly.
Like, but make it the very best that you can while you're here,
and that's how you have a rich life.
Exactly. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.